Errol Leslie Thompson Flynn, born on June 20, 1909, in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia, seemed destined from childhood to resist convention. The son of respected marine biologist and Professor Theodore Thompson Flynn and Lily Mary Young, yet far more drawn to adventure than discipline, expelled from multiple schools and fueled by a restless spirit that would later define both his fame and his downfall. Long before Hollywood, Flynn lived a life that felt cinematic in its own right, working as a sailor, miner, boxer, and plantation overseer in Papua New Guinea, experiences that hardened him physically and gave him the rugged charisma that would later electrify movie screens. His acting career began modestly in Australia within the wake of The Bounty, 1933, but his raw magnetism caught the attention of Warner Brothers, who brought him to Hollywood, where his ascent was swift and spectacular. With Captain Blood, 1935, Flynn exploded into international stardom, redefining the swashbuckling hero with athletic grace, infectious charm, and effortless bravado, a persona cemented by classics like The Adventures of Robin Hood, The Sea Hawk, Dodge City, and The Charge of the Light Brigade, as well as his beloved on-screen partnership with Olivia de Havilland, whose warmth and chemistry balanced his bold romantic image. Yet Flynn yearned to be seen as more than a matinee idol, revealing dramatic depth in films like They Died with Their Boots On, Gentleman Jim, That Forsyte Woman, and later The Sun Also Rises, performances that hinted at vulnerability beneath the swagger. Off-screen, his life was equally intense and far more destructive, marked by excess, heavy drinking, scandal, legal troubles, and a chaotic personal life that often eclipsed his artistry. Married 3 times, to Lily Demeter, with whom he had son Sean Flynn, to Nora Eddington, mother of daughters Deirdre and Rory, and finally to Patrice Wymore, with whom he had daughter Arnella Roma Flynn. Each relationship reflected a different phase of his turbulent journey, blending romance, instability, and fleeting attempts at domestic calm. Behind the public image of the ultimate ladies' man lay a far more complex emotional reality shaped by the ruthless studio system of Golden Age Hollywood, which enforced rigid morality clauses and demanded absolute consistency, giving rise to long-rumored but never publicly acknowledged emotional relationships, including whispers of intimacy with fellow star Robert Taylor, connections that, if exposed, would have ended careers overnight in an era where silence was survival. Flynn himself reportedly understood this bargain well, later reflecting that Hollywood wanted legends, not contradictions, and that the hardest part of secrecy was pretending it didn't change you. As the 1950s arrived, Flynn's health deteriorated, his finances crumbled, and his once brilliant star dimmed, yet he continued working, his later performances carrying a weary authenticity shaped by years of excess and reflection. In October 1959, deeply in debt and physically failing, Flynn traveled to Vancouver hoping to negotiate the lease of his beloved yacht, the Zaka, a symbol of his wandering spirit, accompanied by 17-year-old actress Beverly Ardland, but the trip ended tragically when Flynn collapsed from severe pain, was treated for spinal issues, and shortly afterwards suffered a fatal heart attack, dying on October 14th at just 50 years old. His death revealed a body ravaged by coronary disease, liver damage, and years of hard living, closing the chapter on one of Hollywood's most flamboyant lives. Once the embodiment of cinematic adventure and masculine bravado, Errol Flynn died far from the spotlight, undone not by scandal alone but by time, exhaustion, and excess, leaving behind children, grandchildren, and a legacy that remains as dazzling as it is deeply human, a reminder that behind the myth of the swashbuckling rogue lived a man who burned brilliantly, briefly, and on his own relentless terms.